And in honor of New Year's, we are going to do a completely different episode than we normally do. There are not two strangers in the podcast studio. Back by popular demand, we have my wonderful, handsome, talented boyfriend, Joe, in the studio.
Hello.
Welcome to the Down to Date podcast, babe.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, I was actually kind of worried about bringing you back this time because you were quite rebellious last time.
I'm a little worried to be here because I just kind of go off on podcasts now and I need to calm myself down. And I'm also not used to giving relationship advice, but this is going to be a first for me, so I'm excited.
I feel like we've been together now for a year and a couple months.
I think like a year and like 4 months.
Yeah, I mean, that's heavy duty for both of us.
Yeah.
So,
and we have a dog.
We have a dog. On its way. Literally, we are getting a dog this week. So in honor of the new year, new beginnings, we are going to be answering your guys' questions about dating and give you the best advice we possibly can for a couple that's been together for a year and a couple months. I feel like we have a relatively healthy relationship, so who better? You know, we're professional daters.
That's pretty healthy.
We dated on television, so.
Yeah. I mean, my diet's not the healthiest, but.
I feel like your diet, Joe's diet consists largely of pizza.
That's not true.
What's your favorite
First of all, You're lying already.
You have pizza all the time. Mm-hmm. All the time. Literally every single country or state.
First of all, I don't eat that much pizza. I like pizza. I love pizza, but I don't eat it that much.
Okay, how many Italian restaurants have we been to in the last week?
Fair. I like to eat a lot of Italian food, but it's not all pizza.
Pizza. I will say we went to Japan and we ate pizza, which is something that I never thought I would do. We
ate pizza 2 times within a 18-day span. That's not a lot of pizza.
You know, if you like pizza, you will find it no matter where you are.
This is true.
All right, so we have a couple questions rolling in, and we're going to do our best to give you the best advice that we can. So, first question.
Never eat pizza.
Never eat pizza on a first date.
That's not even a question.
Is pizza a good first date food? That's not the first question, by the way, but.
Well, why don't we? I think that's a good question to touch on.
Yeah, to just start off with.
We'll start off with that. That's Joe's question.
What's your favorite first date food?
Pizza.
Pizza?
I think pizza's a great first date food.
Why?
Because it keeps everybody,
happy?
Happy. No, but it's happy. It's relaxing. It's comfortable. You know, when you bring a first date, like a super nice restaurant, the stakes are higher. I feel like people are more tensed up.
I feel like pizza's like a good third date food. You know? Like first date, I often think of like sushi. Like that's the first date food that I think about.
So if I met you and our first date was pizza, what would have happened?
It depends what kind of pizza place. But if you were really into it and it was like your special spot, then I'd feel like special and it had like a sort of significance in your life.
Yeah, I think like a big New York pizza with black olives. You're a vegan, or not vegan, vegetarian.
Yes.
So we would do black olives, basil, well done, and maybe a big salad and then a couple beers. And I think that's a great first date.
Sounds like
a guy date?
It sounds like a guy date. Like it sounds like a bro date.
No, well, I disagree.
But honey, your first date you took me on, we went to Italian. Actually, it wasn't Italian.
It wasn't Italian.
It was Giant in Chicago.
In Logan Square, yeah.
In Logan Square.
Which is like kind of, I hate to like new American style, I think.
It was so good though.
And it's not an Italian restaurant, but they make an incredible lasagna.
And also Joe had his brother call the restaurant in advance to get because we had to be like secretly dating. We couldn't like let anyone know where we were going or anyone see us publicly. So he called the restaurant ahead of time and had us like in a hidden spot in the back patio. It was quite romantic.
It was. And their little back patio is very romantic. And they have the lights back there and you have to walk through like their little side alley.
I mean, Joe knows how to do a first date right. I'll give him that.
Sure.
All right. So let's get to these questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. First question. How do you beat first date nerves?
How do you be? Ooh, that's
hard.
That's hard because I am someone that always had first date nerves and stage fright, all of that. You know that
I do know this about you.
I've dealt with that. So, how do you beat first date nerves? I mean, alcohol
helps a little bit.
It does. It helps a
lot. Not encouraging you to drink a lot of alcohol, but if one does drink alcohol, maybe, ordering a nice glass of wine.
See, I like...
Or taking a shot right when you get
there.
I
like a shot. I wouldn't even... Yeah, I would say if your date would also like to take a shot, that could be cool because then that kind of breaks the ice. Mm-hmm. If you take a shot before you leave...
Don't do that.
That doesn't really work. Plus, one shot kind of wears off by the time you get there, anyways.
True.
And you're gonna smell a little like alcohol, and then she's like, "This guy's
this alcoholic."
I actually did that once.
I've taken a shot before a date too with my girlfriends.
I went on a date with this girl, and I forget her name. I went on a date with her, and I was nervous, and I got wasted before the date.
Oh no!
It was
Wait,
actually...
I think I know this story. And
no, you don't. I've never told you this story.
Really?
Yeah, this is actually kind of embarrassing.
Oh.
Yeah, because
Please do tell.
Well, then I remember I heard from a friend. She's like, well, he was cute, but he was drunk.
At least she said you were cute.
And it was like 4:00 in the afternoon, which made it so much worse.
So maybe not taking a shot of alcohol. You know what I think is really important when you go on a first date? Don't put them on a pedestal. I think if you go into the date believing that they're better than you, then you're going to have like this heightened sense of who they are and then feel like you have to live up to like some expectation.
Fair. But that's the same thing as saying, don't put them on a pedestal. Don't be so nervous. But that doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? It's not even about putting them on a pedestal. It's hard to control your nerves. So it's like you almost have to be comfortable with the fact that you're going to be nervous on the first date. Like, own it. That's what I think.
I think both of us were extremely nervous when we first had our first dates on the show where we met.
Oh yeah.
Joe, when our first quote unquote date on Paradise, and I put it in quotes because it kind of is like a first date, but it's on the show.
It's TV first date, but it's a first. I mean, it's technically a first date. I mean, it worked. We're still dating.
Joe was so sweaty. And granted, it was very, very hot.
It was also
there.
110 degrees in Mexico.
But I thought it was endearing. Like, I liked it. I thought it was really cute.
It was bad.
And it also made us laugh. It was like, one of the most funniest first dates I've been on.
But when you called me out on it, it made it so much worse because I couldn't. I started sweating more, and my face was red, and it was so bad. But
I thought it was cute.
It worked.
Okay. Let's go on to our second question.
Okay.
Ooh, here's another question. Is it lame to date two people at once? I will say that in the world of social media and dating apps and everything that goes on, it's quite easy to date more than one person at the same time. Should you do it?
I mean, for our show, it was normal. I think, and I think with the way social media is and dating apps, I think it's kind of normal now. I mean, I kind of come from a world where that wasn't the norm, but unless you were doing it like on the sneak, and that's shady. I don't know. I feel like if you're honest and upfront about it, why not? But I feel like if you're gonna hide it, then if you feel the need to hide it, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. Unless you're just really not that into either people.
Well, also I feel like it's okay to go on first or second dates with multiple different people in a time span, but then maybe you get to a certain point where you have to choose one person if you choose to be monogamous, unless you want to have the conversation of being polyamorous, which is a completely different conversation to have.
Okay, but what number date do you stop?
I feel like by date 3, you should kind of have an idea.
I think so. That's what I would say.
Want to be because by then you'll have the pizza date, right? You'll have the sushi date down, the pizza date down. Maybe.
Sushi date is so lame. Sushi date's like
sushi date is
2000
like
and like
it's the made to impress
9.
date. It's the made to impress date.
Sushi. I'm not about the sushi date. Sorry.
All right. I'm gonna read another question. Ooh. Okay, this is one for Joe. Best way to approach a girl you think is attractive.
Where are we? Location.
Well, it could be anywhere. Like if you're at a bar, or maybe if you're in class, or at a library, at a park. There's any place you see someone that you think is attractive.
Okay, well,
what do you do?
I think if you're at a bar,
specifically at a bar.
That's usually where I would hit on girls when I was single.
Okay.
Because it's not easy to approach someone at like a grocery store or a coffee. No, because it always seems like people are especially in Chicago, everyone's like in a rush doing their thing, and it's almost like, wait, why are you talking to me right now? That's kind of the vibe I at least put in my head. So that was always difficult. So let's go to a bar, because that was my sweet spot.
All right. So picture this: we are in a bar.
All right. I think the best way is either to walk up and just say hello,
gutsy,
or you buy drinks from across the bar.
Oh, you give a little wink, you know?
I mean, that's kind of the old school way. It's a little tacky.
I like old school.
But it usually works. It usually works. But I would say the best way would just to be hello.
You know what I will say?
Simple hellos.
I will say that I think that usually it falls on the shoulders of, we'll just say, it usually falls on the shoulders of like the guy to make the first move, right? And I feel like that's not necessarily fair. I feel like as like whoever you are, whoever, you know, you're interested in, if you see someone you're interested in, create the opportunity for them to come up to you, make them feel comfortable. Because for me, it would be extremely intimidating to go up to somebody and to like tell them that I'm interested in them, especially when they're surrounded by friends.
Yeah, but usually that's not how it works. Usually, honestly, it's eye contact. If you make eye contact with somebody, where it's like you make eye contact, you maybe look away, and then you make eye contact again. So let's call it eye contact. The two eye contact.
Then this rolls off the tongue.
Then I believe it's up to, then I strongly suggest that the man makes the move.
Okay. So what about in same-sex relationships? Who makes the first move?
I don't know. If I was in a same-sex relationship, I'd be able to answer that. But how the hell am I supposed to know?
This is true.
I don't know. I don't know the way that works.
Does it have to fall on the shoulders of like the quote-unquote like the guy?
So what are you saying? You think that women should be able to make
the first move too? I think
they should. Yeah. I mean, I have no issue with that.
Yeah.
But it usually, like you said, it usually falls on the man.
Yeah.
To do that.
True.
I mean, it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of the way it works.
I think the rule of thumb that I have is if you are attracted to somebody, if you feel an attraction towards somebody, I think just leaving the space open for them to approach you, or to let them know, to let them feel comfortable that you would be willing to like get to know somebody.
But wouldn't that be weird? Like if so, let's say you're single, you're at a bar, you make eye contact with a guy, and he kind of like makes a little room and he just waits for you to walk up to him.
Well, okay.
You wouldn't want that.
For instance, I was actually listening to dating advice recently, and a perfect example of this it was from Matthew Hussey. He said that if you want someone to talk to you, if you're like a female looking for a male to start a conversation, you could go to the bar, maybe leave your jacket there, ask the guy, hey, can you watch my jacket while I get my friends these drinks? Go get the drinks to your friend, go back, and it almost sparks a conversation. It leaves room for a conversation to happen. And I thought that was amazing advice.
Yeah, I think that's fair advice. I don't know. I feel like you know when someone wants to be approached.
Yeah.
You do. And you
know
get the
vibe.
Yeah, you do. You get that vibe, and you know when they don't. So
let's move on to a different question. Best friends with great chemistry but afraid to take the next step?
Best friends with great
I'm assuming
chemistry.
That this person has a crush on their friend.
Sounds like it.
What do you do when you feel like you're in the friend zone and you want to get out of the friend zone?
See, I never had that issue.
Yeah.
I kind of grew up where all my friends were guys.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really, I don't know. I wouldn't know what to do in that situation.
I think you only get in the friend zone when you don't state your intention initially, right? I feel like as long as you let the person know you're interested and know your intention.
But what if your intention wasn't? What if you actually just wanted to be friends at first and then it changes?
Is this like a Ross and Rachel situation?
Well, yeah. I mean, we're watching Friends, so that makes sense. But like, what if let's say you guys are both, let's not even say you're
attracted to your friend.
Yeah. I mean, you find the other person attractive, but you're not really like into them.
And you don't want to risk ruining the friendship.
But now all of a sudden, 6 months down the road, you find yourself wanting to date that person. Then what do you do?
Well, look, either you're going to suffer through the friendship and always feel like you have feelings for somebody and never do anything, or you have to kind of confront your fear.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to force yourself to have the uncomfortable conversation to get what you want.
Yeah, and I feel like...
You want this, can you take?
Perfect example. It is the new year. It's New Year's Eve, guys. If you're into your friend, why not go for that kiss? Why not, hey, you know what? It's New Year's. We'll just hang out by the person you have a crush on, go for the first kiss, maybe sparks fly.
Yeah, go for the kiss or,
Holidays are the perfect time to kind of like cross that friend boundary.
If you're going to do it on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I feel like New Year's Eve is always excusable. You're like, oh man, I just need someone to kiss.
Yeah, they make movies about this.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back to answer more of your questions. When it comes to jewelry, I can't help but be extremely picky, and not because I'm super bougie or want something really, really expensive, though I wouldn't mind. But the reason is because my skin is actually allergic to a lot of different metals. You know when you wear those rings, those copper rings, and when you take off the ring, it still looks like you have a weird greenish ring on your finger because your skin is dyed like some sickly color. That is what I absolutely hate. I hate it, which is why Orate is such an amazing jewelry brand, because they're using amazing quality metals. For those of you guys who do not know what Orate is a fine jewelry made in New York City, founded by women for women. Pieces range from classic to statement to completely original, so they have something for everybody here. Orate makes the jewelry you've always wanted but could never find. And literally, they have so many amazing options. And Orate is the kind of jewelry that you can literally sleep in, take a shower in, just wear all the time and never take off. I know for me, I love that kind of jewelry that you never take off. I have Orate pieces that I absolutely love that I just wear every single day. And hey, you know what? I'm the kind of person that might lose something, so I like when it can stay on my body. Orate is also ethically made in New York City, and it empowers women with the best jewelry options without sacrificing style. I cannot stress how Orate is made by women for women, and that is why I love this company so much. And all their products are made with real gold. The gold feels substantial and the diamonds sparkle. I mean, they're absolutely beautiful pieces. Orate is looking to set the standard for women because they deserve the best. For 15% off your first Orate purchase, go to oratenewyork.com/long and use promo code LONG. That's AURATE newyork.com. Use promo code LONG for 15% off your first Orate purchase. Okay, this question is interesting because Joe and I actually had a lot of experience with this in our relationship. How do you deal with long-distance dating?
Well, we couldn't really deal with it.
Well, we did deal with it in the beginning of our relationship. Yeah. I mean, in the beginning of our relationship, I would say there was a couple weeks where we couldn't talk. Not only could we not be together because we were on opposite sides of the country, but we also couldn't talk about being together with anyone else.
Yeah. I think... Go ahead.
Well, I feel like the way that we dealt with it was we had phone calls at least once a day.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely have to keep the contact.
Yeah. And it was in the beginning of our relationship. I feel like you have to just trust it. You have to just not be afraid of being too needy or too like texting too much. If you need to have like that kind of comfort with someone that you're dating by having constant communication, just go for it.
Yeah. And I think for us, I think we kind of both agree that we don't want to have a long distance relationship. So we kind of work to figure out how to
not keep it long distance forever.
Yeah.
I mean, the goal of a long distance relationship, ultimately you want to be able to be in the same city or the same state, at least.
I would think. Yeah.
So I think also you have to put a lot more work into the relationship in terms of like traveling to each other's hometowns in order to see each other often.
It's difficult. I mean, a long-distance relationship is very difficult.
I will say Joe is my first long-distance relationship, and I'm a very like physical person in terms like I like having someone physically there, and so I think just like talking on the phone and hearing your voice and just having
FaceTime.
And FaceTiming.
FaceTime's big.
Yeah, I think FaceTime was huge too. I did notice a huge difference in our conversations from phone calls to FaceTime.
Well, from text to phone call to FaceTime.
Well, yeah.
I'm a bad texter.
Joe is a bad texter. So in the beginning of our relationship, I was actually like, man, this guy never texts. Is he into me? I was kind of freaking out.
But we didn't really know too. It was. I mean, long distance is difficult. Like, if we had to do long distance now in this point of our relationship, it would probably be a lot easier than at the beginning. At the beginning of a relationship, it's hard. It's tough.
It all boils down to trust, is what it does boil down to.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think too many people have long distance relationships that kind of like first met each other.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people have long distance relationships when they're dating in high school and then they both go to different places for college.
Yeah, that's what I would think too.
And when I went to college, I just was single. I feel like a lot of people that go to college, it's kind of like a new beginning and a refreshing start.
Yeah.
So, but I am also romantic at heart, so I would just say you have no choice but to trust.
Okay.
Or else that can ruin a relationship.
Cool.
All right, let's see. Ooh, this is a fun one. Do you guys tell each other you love them every day?
Do we tell each other? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we do.
I think I say I love you to Joe at least 5 times a day.
5? I'm going to hold you to that now.
I say it before we go to bed. Every single night before we go to bed, we say we love each other.
Yeah.
And just randomly throughout the day, you just kind of slip it in the conversation. Mm-hmm. I think it's important to like vocalize your love for somebody in a relationship, because if regardless of how much you feel it, if you don't tell people how you feel, they're not going to know.
You're a big I love you person, though.
I am a big I love you person.
Like, you say it, like, every time you hang up the phone with your sister, you say you love her.
Yeah.
You say, yeah. I mean, you do that a lot. But it's good. I mean, it's refreshing. I like it.
Yeah. I remember
I love it.
Oh, yeah? Okay, do you remember the first time we said I love you to each other?
Do I remember the first time we... Oh, I feel like I do, but I feel like...
It's kind of hard to pinpoint the exact day.
I mean, let's take away Paradise.
Yeah.
Right?
We don't think we even said I love you to each other in Paradise.
At the end, when we were leaving, I think I said it. Or I said I was falling in love with you since day 2.
Okay, well, that's different. Saying I'm falling in love with you is completely different.
Okay, but like I love you, where did we say it? Do you remember? I don't remember.
I remember the first time I like really wanted it, like our relationship to work. I was on my way to driving Joe back to the airport. He was going to fly to Chicago, and we were in the car, and this really cheesy song came on. I forgot what it was
Boyz II Men.
about.
I remember that.
Boyz II Men.
I remember that.
I don't know.
And you were like crying when I left.
I was driving Joe to LAX, and I was literally like listening to this song, and in my head I was like, I just don't want him to leave, and I started crying in the car.
And we were still unsure. We were still unsure
if we were going to continue our relationship.
Like if we don't know if we're going to do this or not.
Yeah,
but But I remember that.
That's when I knew that I loved you.
Yeah, and that's when I knew. I'm like, okay, we're gonna give this a try.
Yeah,
we're gonna actually go for this. Yeah. That's it.
Man, I need to remember what that song was. Boyz II Men.
It was a boy. We were you were driving me in your sister's Prius.
I was saving
Toyota,
the environment.
Hello.
But yeah, that was the first moment. And then I think for me, it was important for me once I felt that to express it and to express it as much as possible. It's scary in the beginning, but I think the more you say it, the more it becomes part of like your couple's vocabulary.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. I love you. Okay, let's look at another question. Ooh, here's one. Do I let him pay if I don't want a second date?
Do I let him pay if I don't want a second
I do feel very strongly about this. I don't want someone to pay for me if I'm not interested in going on another date.
I agree with that.
Because I feel like it's hard for me not to feel like that's taking advantage of somebody.
Again, I still have that old school mentality where I'm paying, but if I'm paying on a first date and she strongly does not want me to pay for her, then I know she's not interested. I guess, which is fine. And I actually rather have that.
Because then what happens if I feel like if someone pays for you on a date and then they ask for another date, do you feel like you're obligated to go on that second date? Because whereas I would usually be like, look, I don't want you to pay. Let's just split it. And then I think it's almost like without saying it, you're saying I'm not interested in a second date.
Yeah. And I think
yeah,
I like that. But
better than ghosting.
At the same time, if I took a girl on a first date, paid for it, and she didn't want to go on a second date, I wouldn't be like, well, I paid for the first date.
Because you're a stand-up guy.
Yeah, well, basically that's what I was getting at.
I guess that's just my opinion of how I handled dates.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's classy.
Looking at another question here. There's a lot of great questions in here. Took a break from dating to focus on me more. How will I know when I'm ready to date again? I think, first of all, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for taking a break for yourself to really get to know yourself, because I feel like it's hard to date someone when you're not completely fulfilled within yourself. Or it's hard to recognize.
My stomach's making noises.
Your stomach is making a lot of noises.
Yeah.
But
maybe I'm pregnant.
Let's not jinx it. But I think you have to put the love into yourself before you're ready to love someone else. Or else you're creating almost like a dependency.
I agree. I think you really need to figure out yourself before you could actually. I would say that's the healthiest way to fall in love. Once you figure out yourself, love yourself, man. But once you figure your shit out, then I think you're better off.
And I think, okay, there's never going to be a point where you're like, oh man, I figured everything out in my life. I am who I am, and now I'm ready to date. I think it's more so you feel comfortable by yourself. You feel like you can entertain yourself and do your own thing, and you're happy.
Yeah.
And you're not constantly looking around and seeking someone to date. I think that's when someone ends up finding you.
Yeah.
You know, you're more attractive when you work completely independently.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I found.
That took me a while. It took me till I was 30 to
really?
Actually. Yeah, I think once I don't know why, but once I turned 30, I was like, I'm comfortable with being who I am and being single, and yeah.
Yeah. And that's when you ended up,
well, I don't, what happened to me is kind of
true. And then all of a sudden you were on a TV show and you fell in love.
So, you can't really.
But at the same time, look, I don't know what everyone believes in, if you believe in the universe or God or whatever it is, but I feel like in some way, if you're putting vibes out there that say, I love who I am and I love myself, then I feel like it almost comes back to you.
Yeah.
That's just my belief.
It took me a long time to admit that I actually wanted to be in a relationship too.
Yeah.
And I think that was...
You were Mr. Single Ready to Mingle man.
Well, but and even though I really did want that, I wouldn't say it. It took me a while. It took me till I was 30 to be like, oh, I actually don't want to be single.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I never really put everything into a relationship until recently too. I felt like whenever I was inconvenienced by a relationship, I would just completely break it off and be like, well, that was inconvenient. I'm going to move on and do my own thing. I just didn't put the work into a relationship that it really deserved. And so I would say yours and my relationship was the first time where I was like, look, I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm not going to just give up. I'm actually going to put more of myself into this than I ever have before. And
same, which is crazy that we both did that, and that's probably why it worked.
Yeah. True. I almost feel like we didn't scare each other too, because we both knew we were on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah. Intriguing. How to keep communication healthy when you're never on the same schedule. I think this kind of also goes hand in hand with long distance relationships, but if you're not on the same schedule, I think the most important thing is just to let the person know that you're thinking of them when you are apart. Yeah,
and I feel like you could always find time, right?
Okay, the way I see this is, if you want to make time, you will make time. And if you don't, you'll make an excuse. I
don't know. People do have, I had a crazy work schedule, and nurses have crazy hours, and people that work in doctors. And so I think scheduling and crazy work hours, I think that's hard.
So I'm a gift giver. That's kind of how I show my affection. I'll get little cookies or just little things that make me think of you whenever we're apart. And I feel like however you show love, just it goes a long way to show someone that you're thinking about them when you're apart from each other. Okay, this is the last question we are taking for the day. In the era of dating apps, how do you bridge the gap to DTR? Exclusivity is something that I want. Yeah, honestly, I feel like because dating apps are such a big thing, everyone has such a short attention span when it comes to dating because everything is so easily replaceable. Do you agree?
I mean,
you've never been on dating apps, to be fair.
I downloaded them a few times, and I just never actually went on a date from a dating app. For me, it just didn't feel normal. But then again, I'm not normal, so I don't know.
It's true.
I don't know. It's hard for me to touch on this. I feel like dating apps, though. Yeah, I get it, especially like in a place like Los Angeles where it's just like so many people are on dating apps now. Yeah. So it's just like.
My friend told me, and this is something that I absolutely love, she FaceTimes as soon as she matches with someone on a dating app. And I think that is so important only because you will see, because when you're messaging someone and texting someone, it's almost as if you're communicating in a different dimension. And that dimension sometimes doesn't translate to like our actual walking living dimension.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Especially texting. I mean, you're not engaging the person. You're like talking to, like, honestly, when I was texting you in the beginning of our relationship, like, I don't even know if this is her or if she's sitting in a room with her friends, like laughing about it. Like, you don't know. So it's, I don't know. I don't like texting until I actually really know the person. Yeah. You know?
I would say FaceTime or try to get some kind of like, I don't know, maybe like a phone call or something as soon as you match, because then it takes it out of the dating app world and brings it back to the real world. It almost shocks people into thinking like, oh, wow, this is a real person. It's not just a picture.
Yeah.
You know, so that would be my advice.
I like it.
Yeah.
You're the dating expert.
Well, apparently I'm a dating expert. I don't know. So everyone, thank you so much for listening to our dating advice. Hopefully Joe and I helped out a little bit with those daters coming into the new year. And definitely go for it. Definitely go for that first kiss for the new year countdown.
I like it.
Yeah, pull a Joey from Friends.
I like that. Yep.
Yeah, I feel like, why not risk it? Why not go for it? Don't start the new year wondering what if.
And guess what? It's New Year's Eve, so you can have a few drinks and it's still normal.
That's true. Have a few drinks. Yeah, get the nerves up to kiss someone when it counts down to 0.
Yeah. But I mean, make sure they at least made eye contact before you go in there for the kiss.
Yes, make a few eye contact.
Eye contact's big.
Eye contact is big. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe's giving me intense eye contact right now. Will you be my New Year's kiss, babe?
Yeah, I mean, I plan on it.
This is true.
Yeah.
So everyone, this has been Down to Date. Thank you so much for joining our special edition. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, all the comments, all the things. I love reading all of them. And we will see you guys in the new year.